change.
What?
The slide, pass the slide.
Aha, okay, there are slides.
Ah, gente, eles não deixam o vídeo, disponibiliza.
Or you could also, if this will not work with this.
Eu ia acessar aqui para dar luz, mas acho que também não.
Here you are. Can you try the microphone again?
Testing.
Okay. And Alexei, if you can have a look there regarding the video, if the camera is.
Is it recorded?
It's being recorded. It's on YouTube. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, this one can go down because this is you have to balance. It starts holding. You this one back. If it's not enough, then you. Okay, now we can go.
Alexei, don't worry.
All good, all good. I think we can start.
Cadê o?
Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Velma from Brazil. I'm CEO of OGI, a Brazilian consultancy, and we are so grateful to be here today with Laura of Future Climate and Denise Hills, Brazilian specialist in sustainability. And they're here to talk about how to drive some frameworks that are keeping us out of our minds because everybody is worried about how to improve sustainability management in private sector to help countries to address their goals. And then we developed a methodology to do that, not just reporting, but improving the management of the companies. And OGI is a Brazilian consultancy. I have two partners there, and that is Stella and Andrea that are watching now and online now. And thank you, girls. We are a woman company, and we have maybe 40 consultants working with us. We are compliant in Brazilian law, and we are very proud of being here today. Sorry. As consultancy, we are specialized in sustainability issues, and we work only helping companies improving their sustainability management, and that's why we believe we are good to help you and talk to you today. We have 20 years in this area, so we are the dinosaurs of sustainability. it's not yes, and we serve clients from any part of the world, and we help major big companies.
Which slide do you need to show?
I'm trying to.
It is a lot, but it's not connected.
It's not connected.
What I see here, I can see it over there.
It's on this one.
Oh, it's this?
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Okay, so
And
she's Laura, she's my partner, and she's helping us to present this challenge today.
So, hello everyone. I'm Laura Buquerque from Future Climate. Nice to be here with you all and happy to be contributing in the discussions on the Finance and Carbon Markets Day. I'll just briefly introduce Future Climate and then pass to Velma so we can jump into the presentation. So, Future Climate is a Brazilian climate business. We support companies on their climate journey from the decarbonization strategy through their offsetting on very integrity carbon credit with high quality integrity carbon credits. And in addition to that, we also have been helping companies providing them the climate risk assessments to be the basis for their climate adaptation plan and consequently the investment that they need to adapt into climate change. Today, I lead the consultancy and the education area at Future Climate. So in addition to the consultancy services that I mentioned in decarbonization and adaptation, we also provide a number of capacity buildings, including online courses to help people understand what we're talking during COPs for 30 years, let's say like that, and understanding like the climate crisis and how carbon markets can contribute, which are their roles into the climate crisis. So in a few words and small seconds in terms of who we are and what we do, that's Future Climate.
Denise, that is our connection between economics and financial and sustainability.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I'm Denise Rios. I used to be nowadays a board member of some companies in Brazil, and I had a previous experience, as Velma mentioned, in Citibank, in traditional banks in Brazil. And recently, since 2010, I started to work connecting finance, economics, and sustainability. And nowadays, I used to advise, participating in committees, in board members, as a board members in many companies in Brazil and abroad, and including connected with TCFD and nowadays starting TNFD, and that's why IFRS S1 and S2 are so important. I'm here to talk like the perspective from companies and especially for finance that are now like getting together in connecting sustainability aspects with decision-making process, integration, and strategy at all. And I think this path is one of the most important initiatives that we have nowadays in order to bring the real sustainability into the decision-making process for companies, not only in Brazil, but all over the world.
Thank you, Laura and Denise. As we are here to discuss driving in the IFRS and CSRD, I'm not making a lecture about what is IFRS because everybody can search and find and read what is the IFRS. But IFRS is the first time in our life in sustainability management that we realize the impacts of sustainability indicators or in financial information in financial management. And then we can help companies understand how materiality and impacts can bring efficiency to management, because we can know about risks that before we couldn't availability of the risks. And now with IFRS, and we can engage people from all of the departments of the company to understand what sustainability is. And the work is not about sustainability area, it's about all the company. And when Europe or United States as IFRS call us to give information about sustainability, about climate in special, it's a path to de-risk our work. And we developed the methodology to engage people in the company. So I'm not seeing the slides. Okay, but as streaming, I can't be. Okay. Huh? Can I be stand up?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. So, the first part of the methodology is the engagement. We put together in the same room many specialists in their areas, like environment, financial, accountability, risks, corporate responsibility, all areas in the company. And we put together in the same room, and we explain what is IFRS, what they are expecting about the management of it, and CSRD as well. And then we, in the first time, the people don't understand what they are doing in that room, because they believe that it doesn't touch them, it's not about their areas, and why they are being called to this job. But we try to engage in the first time just to make them aware about IFRS and CSRD, just to start the job of engagement. And we clarify for them the responsibility of each one in their position to make this job reality in the company. And then it's only a meeting of 90 minutes. And then we arrange another meeting with 2 hours, about 2 hours, to make a checklist. We transform all the indicators of the framework in questions about real life, about what they do in their quotidian, in the daily jobs. So then and these questions are answered with yes and no. That is to facilitate them to understand what they are doing and what are their responsibility about this question in special. Sometimes the text of the framework is too complex to understand. We transform them in questions, in simple questions, to answer with yes and no. And the questions are, do you have document about human rights, or do you have a document? Is this document available in the internet? The questions are so simple to answer. And then people understand that it's their job. It's not about a sustainability area job. In the end of this checklist, the result is a dashboard with an analysis of companies' performance about IFRS or CSRD, and they know how they are adherent, how they are comparing to the management to the framework. And the company can see the gaps in meeting the requirements of the IFRS and CSRD standards. And here we have the dashboard, and we have a general vision of all the requirements, and then the special pillars that governance, risk, and strategy, all the four objectives of the IFRS questions, or what is needs to be adherent to the framework. So in this meeting, people go crazy because most of the time the company is not attending the requirement of the standards, and they understand that the job is huge, but the job can't be made for by the consultancy. It's not a consultancy job, it's a company job. And we only can drive groups to make the job. So we improve their knowledge about that, their awareness about that, and then we start, we make a gap analysis, and then the group starts to make a plan, a job plan, to understand what can be done in short time, in long time, and make a plan of improving management, improving sustainability and climate management. And only after that, they can do a climate strategy, decarbonize, and know what is not greenwashing, what is the right job to do. And it's that methodology, we only need 3 days to apply, and it transformed the company because we engage people in all the themes that they need to know. And actually, we applied this methodology in that's the framework, working groups in strategy, governance, risk management, goals and metrics, and that is the framework of the methodology. And we track the record to just to registrar para fazer a governança. To register, to make the governance of the work and guarantee and assure that the job won't be stopped. We've applied this methodology in a public company in Brazil. We have a case. Tegra Incorporadora is our client for almost 8 years. we've made all the strategy, materiality. We make the sustainability report since 8 years ago. And then they were prepared to implement IFRS and CSRD methodology. And here we have a speech of the CFO that shows the scenario change. We started to talk only to sustainability area, and now we are engaged with financial area, and all the company understand what reporting climate information and sustainability information do to the company. This is, I will share the link afterwards because this is a PDF. After the groups, after the job of driving groups and improve the management, the companies can do the climate strategy, and that is what Future Company do, and is our partner in this challenge. Thank you. Sorry for my bad English.
Thank you so much, Velma. So just make the connection here. I think it's important to put in a perspective that the output from what Augie does, it's like the action plan that will probably tell the company, you need to do a decarbonization strategy, you need to know how much it costs, and you also need to make a climate risk assessment and know how much it will impact in terms of the financial impact that and hazard, a climate hazard can have in your company. And also, if you're going to be under strict regulation, how much that will cost for you, and how you are inserting this information into your balance. So the action plan will tell the company, like, your next steps are developing everything that I just mentioned. So we developed with Augie, and this is the approach that we do in Future Climate, the bottom-up approach. Augie comes with the top-down approach, understanding the framework and what everything is needed to be prepared in terms of a map. And then we come from the bottom-up approach to deliver the outputs to connect to the reporting. And then, thank you. Our bottom-up approach in a three-step way is that, actually, I say a three-step, but I always say that we always need to have the step zero, that is the climate risk assessment. If you don't have a step zero, it's where you start from. If you do not have a climate risk assessment, you're not going to understand what is the next step for you, because depending on the sector that you were working with, your climate risk assessment can tell you that the regulation is the most material risk, but depending on the sector, heat wave can be the most material risk. And both actions after that are completely different and trigger another type of management inside the company. So after the climate risk assessment plan, you develop either an adaptation plan or either a transition plan in terms of decarbonizing. And these two plans will result into a corporate climate investment plan, where you're going to plan in the short, medium, and long term how much you need to invest to manage the risks that you understood that your company is subject to. And then just dipping a bit in each of the steps, when you talk about climate risk assessment as the step zero, a 5-step approach, the first one is to choose your scenario. So which scenario are you going to look into the future to see which are the risks that you are under? The second one, analyzing the risks and opportunities. The third one, after you analyze, understanding what's the priority one, so what are the material risks that will be you are under, and the methodology where what is used to understand the priority is just like a real risk matrix where you put probability and impact. When you put probability in one X, impact in another, you will be able to look into the matrix and see what's the priority in terms of the risk assessment that you just did. And after prioritizing the risks, the next step is understanding how much they will cost. And to understand how much they will cost, you need to value the risk and understand the whole chain behind it, and who is going to be impacted in terms of the company or in terms of the territory or in terms of the stakeholders. So you make the estimation of the financial impact of your risks and opportunities. And after that, you'll be able to have, let's say, not a menu, but you have all the ingredients to build your menu. And to build your menu is exactly the identifying the mitigation measures that it was to be what is going to compose the plan. So these 5 steps to reach the climate risk assessment is a continuous working group with different focal points of the company as well. And this is something that we will start with the work from the working group that Augie is going to lead with different areas of the company, and that we will keep this group because understanding the risks will also need input from different areas. And this is a work that we estimate depending on the sector and the size of the company that we can do like in 1 month or in like 10 months or in a year, or piloting in 6 months and then extending it to a 2-year assessment. Step 2, in terms of building the adaptation and transition plans, the approach in terms of the adaptation plan is to look into the physical risks. So what are the hazards that will that may make the company exposed and vulnerable? And in terms of the transition risks, we're talking about market, technological, reputational, and regulatory risks. And identifying all these risks is what is going to be the input into your adaptation and transition plans. And we just sharing like 2 cases very quickly here with you. We applied this approach specifically to a Brazilian port in Brazil. It's a huge port that it's also with a very high decarbonization strategy, that is Porto do Sul in the state of Rio de Janeiro, in the Mata Atlântica biome. And they hired us and we helped the group, the sustainability and the financial area working together. So we mapped all the transition risks that they were subject to and presented it in a projection of the financial impacts into the cash flow until 2030 and until 2050. So that the CFO could look into what were the scenarios of their balance sheet in the future in terms of the risks, the financial impacts of the risks, and the financial impacts of the opportunities.
Why do you do this?
I did this? What did I say?
Quotation. The quotation.
But which word did I use?
Scenarios.
Scenarios.
Oh, because yes, because it's like the exercise. Let me just give a 1 step back. The companies in their long-term plans, they go for a 5 to 10 year. When I talk 2050, in the financial cash flow, there are no numbers. They don't exist. So the scenario that I mentioned is exactly that. We need like to make an estimate of the future cash flow until 2050. So it's something that no company has ever
And it's
done. That's not
negative.
common.
It's about future and it's negative.
Yes, and it's a real exercise. So that's why I quoted, because something that we build upon something that does not exist, using the basis of the short term for the 5 and 10 year plan at most. So this is just sharing the case for you to understand a little bit that it's like a huge business, one of the biggest ports in the biggest Latin American country. And it was a very important exercise to take topic to their board, and from their board to their holding, where they are connected to. And in addition to Porto da Sul, we also worked with EDP, that it's a European company, but they have operations in Brazil. And with them, we worked in the adaptation plan, understanding the risks of each of the assets, and building for each type of business. For instance, they have distribution lines, but they also have generators, generation power plants, and the adaptation plans are completely different from one type of assets to another. So it's a very personalized and tailor-made adaptation plans. And for everything that I am mentioning here, we did not only the action that is needed, but also the estimation and the valuation of how much it will cost in the terms of the scenarios. So the first step that I mentioned, step 0 of defining the scenario that you're going to choose, is key for all the projections that you're going to do in your financial estimations. So we'll make the financial estimations for 2030 and 2050, very aligned to the scenarios. That is the first step that you choose. And in addition to the cases, and we will open to Denise, and then, sorry, and then we open to Q&A. It's that we are missing one slide here. Yes, you can start with the Q&A, yes. In addition to everything that I said, I think it's important to mention, especially for everybody who is online, that Brazil just approved the carbon market regulation. So this is something that we will bring, yesterday, yes, congrats. And today is the Carbon Market Day here in the Digital Pavilion, so we are happy to talk about that. And this is a really important legal framework for the country and for this whole agenda. And it's an agenda that will connect with everything that we mentioned here, because depending on the sector, there will be a financial impact in terms of allowance and also in terms of technological transformation and shift that will be needed. And in addition to the regulation to this compulsory carbon market that we're going to have, it's quite clear in the bill of law, the law now, not the bill anymore, it's not a bill, it's now the law, that we'll have a connection with the voluntary carbon market, with the flexibility of being able to offset the emissions with nature-based solutions and energy and other type of projects. And this is also something that I have not presented here because it's not a specifically IFRS S1 and S2 agenda, but it's a potential financial impact when you talk about the carbon market. It's a regulatory risk. And we are also a carbon credit developer, so it's important to share with you that we develop this type of projects as well and are able to help in the offsetting of the companies. So thank you so much for now, and then I'll pass, please, Denise, start with the A, the answers. We already have questions. Okay.
My question, sorry, maybe it's stupid, but what is double materiality, and is it relevant for the reporting?
Double materiality is the first step to all this work. S1 needs the information of materiality to be applied. And double materiality show the impact that company receive and do. And we estimate the financial impacts after we know the impacts. Then the climate strategy and scenarios detail and go down deeply with the numbers, with the real impact that we are talking, the financial impact. So the double materiality is nowadays job about data. It's not about perception or just stakeholder talk. It's about knowing what is risk, is knowing what the impact that the company affect the stakeholder, and knowing what's necessary to adaptation and to transition, and it's management tool to understand other risks and opportunities that a company has. So the double materiality is too important to the process, and it has to be done before the IFRS or CSRD. We've talked about IFRS because not so much about CSRD, but they are in the same level, and it's not possible when you apply for one of this framework or standard. You can mix the plan. You can do the job together, and materiality is used by CSRD and IFRS. That's why it's so important, and I believe that is the first step that a company has to do before everything. And not having a materiality vision, it's not possible to apply CSRD or IFRS. And it's necessary to understand what double materiality is, because since the start of sustainability management, the understanding of materiality is being changed. And now it's about, ESG is about money. It's not about other things. And then it has a huge responsibility to make a materiality as a tool to start all this. Did I answer you?
It's a very nice perspective to start the question and the answer. Usually the most common question that I receive in my new role, coming from finance side, from risk management side, which is nowadays quite worried because they discover that if they are going to assign the responsibility of this kind of information that goes on, it's about like outputs, outcomes, and impact. And usually, if you talk about like outputs and outcomes, you not even touch in some of the ways to the impacts. That's why materiality used to be like the first guide, that kind of compass. What is my impact when I'm doing something, or when I'm playing the role of the company? And what is the impact that comes to me because the society is changing, the climate is changing, it goes down and comes after. So it is a kind of compass. And when they start to engage people that usually are not in this field, like finance or risk I think is more common nowadays, but it's not a common path, a common language, or a common thought when you're discussing usually strategy, financial planning, budget, engagement, or future scenarios. And starting by materiality, IFRS, and especially S2, are bringing into the table the reality for investments that are usually not in the balance sheet. And that's why it's so important, and that's why the financial side, that usually is a person that has a lot of respect or ability to engage the other management, the board meetings, the CEO, the executive committee, in order to see, okay, guys, we are going to have like 10 years ahead. We are going to do, or we are going to work with this market or not, but we are not realizing that if you have a carbon cost or a carbon opportunity of investment, because carbon nowadays, as Laura mentioned, including for Brazil, is a money flow that has to be considered in terms of investment. is for me, in my long career in sustainability, is one of the most important things in order to really integrate sustainability aspects into the management, into the decision-making process, and into the mindset. I used to say that IFRS and S1 and S2, and including CSRD, because the map comes from CSRD, the compass comes from CSRD, used to be the fast track in order to have a better strategy, and a leapfrog in order to, in 2 weeks, or maybe if you are in the first steps in 2 years, you go ahead like in a new world and comes to a real materiality in order to have a real management connected with the reality. For me, like crazy in some of the ways, because we are working for a long time in climate and decarbonization strategy, but until now, at the same time you see on the television, you saw the impacts in reality, including Brazil floods, everything that you are having in terms of climate, you were not putting these numbers into the projection of the businesses, and including in the projection of investments. And it is going to cost, not only in terms of carbon, but in terms of credit, in terms of the ability of gain markets, in terms of innovation. It's one of the side of the opportunities, the last one. It's like a kind of evolution. You start by risks, you realize that you have to put this in the balance sheet, in the decision, into the governance, and after that you start to think about what kind of business I should have in order to address this, and comes from here to there. And yet after that you start to be more innovative, because you are considering that you have a company that has money when you solve problems of the society. And it is one of the problems of the society that never used to be in the table during the decisions. For me, it's a kind of huge evolution. I had the opportunity to take part of the TCFD strategy and start as UNEPFI a long time ago, part of the group that decide who is going to be or what kind of process we should have in TCFD implementation. And for me nowadays, we are really transform the path of finance, and I cannot imagine like in the middle of 2027, when you have the most implementation, not only in Brazil, but abroad, what we can see in terms of real company transparency in data about the reality of climate change, the reality that comes, including for S4, S3, human rights, biodiversity, in order to have an externality being considered into the flow of internal flow of the company, in how many innovation, in how many market flows, how many nature-based solutions, for example, could be like made by innovation. Many people don't know, for example, using Brazil as an example, Brazil is 15% of the whole nature-based solutions market in terms of carbon credits and whatever. And it is not only for Brazil an opportunity to have more investment, but a new opportunity for the world to have a compensation, for example, or a strategy, decarbonization strategy, with a very engagement, a very good price in terms of investment, and things like that, raising the minimum bar, and put like place like Brazil, opportunities like that in the middle of the conversation. That's why I think is one of the most important movement that we have in a normal businesses, changing in the middle of the company, in the money flow, the way that you approach not only the market, but especially the opportunity.
Just to add your speech, thank you, Denise. Applying, being an early adopter of IFRS or CSRD is an opportunity. Now is an opportunity to access low-cost capital, but in short term, it's about assessing capital. It's not about low cost anymore, and it's good. It's a good position to be an early adopter. It's not only for public. It's not only for public companies. It's for every company, because the companies are all in a supply chain. They always supply chain for some public company, and then being compliant to the frameworks and standards will put these companies in the game, because it's necessary to the public capitals to be compliant, so the supply chain either. Thank you, Denise. And
I was just saying that we should,
Yes, we should.
right, final remarks. Okay, just to check. So I think maybe two key messages from my side. The first one is like, start the process. Start the process. I think this is, or start the process of joining a journey. I think these two words are really important in everything that we are mentioning here. And the second one is change the mindset, because understanding social and environmental risks for a long time has been like separated and a part outside of the key strategy with the finance area of all the listed companies, and also not listed but big companies in the whole world. But be able to change your mindset of including this agenda inside the financial one. So thank you so much for the opportunity to the pavilion one more time. Thank you, Digital Innovation Pavilion, for hosting us. Thank you, Velma, for leading all the application and the movement for the event. And thank you so much, Denise, for sharing more insightful thoughts with us.
thank you, Alexei. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Denise. Engage, assume the responsibilities, and do it. Just do it. Oh, it's not like just do it.
It's one of the most important opportunities that you have, and nowadays it's still an opportunity. It's going to be a risk if you not consider this journey as an opportunity. My final remarks. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you. Very interesting session.
Yes, I
You
thought.
switched it off.
Yeah. Let's take a picture with the. Oh, yes.
Yeah, switching it. Taking it down. The floor. I want to take away the floor.
Não. Mas se você falar, a gente
Where will you put it?
às vezes em português, às vezes em inglês.
I don't know where. Yeah, maybe inside.